Now he heard the things that Laban's sons were saying. Jacob has taken all that was our father's, and from that which was our father's he has built up all this wealth. Jacob also saw that Laban's manner toward him was not as it had been in the past. Then the Lord said to Jacob, "Return to the land of your fathers where you were born, and I will be with you." Jacob had Rachel and Leah called to the field, where his flock was, and said to them, "I see that your father's manner toward me is not as it had been in the past. But the God of my father has been with me. As you know, I've served your father with all my might, but your father cheated me, changing my wages time and again. God, however, would not let him do me harm. If he said thus, 'The speckled shall be your wages,' then all the flocks would drop speckled young. And if he said thus, 'The streaked shall be your wages,' then all the flocks would drop streaked young. God has taken away your father's livestock and given it to me. Once at the mating time of the flocks, I had a dream in which I saw that the he-goats mating with the flock were streaked, speckled, and mottled. And in the dream, an angel of God said to me, 'Jacob.' 'Here,' I answered. And he said, 'Note well that all the he-goats which are mating with the flock are streaked, speckled, and mottled. For I have noted all that Laban has been doing to you. I am the God of Bethel, where you anointed a pillar, and where you made a vow to me. Now arise and leave this land, and return to your native land.' Then Rachel and Leah answered him, saying, 'Have we still a share in the inheritance of our father's house? Surely he regards us as outsiders now that he sold us and has used up our purchase price. Truly, all the wealth that God has taken away from our father belongs to us and to our children. Now then, do just as God has told you.' Thereupon Jacob put his children and wives on camels, and he drove off all his livestock and all the wealth that he had amassed, the livestock in his possession that he had acquired in Padan Aram, to go to his father Isaac in the land of Canaan. Meanwhile, Laban had gone to shear his sheep, and Rachel stole her father's household idols. Jacob kept Laban the Aramean in the dark, not telling him that he was fleeing, and fled with all that he had. Soon he was across the Euphrates and heading toward the hill country of Gilead. On the third day Laban was told that Jacob had fled, so he took his kinsman with him and pursued him a distance of 7 days, catching up with him in the hill country of Gilead. But God appeared to Laban the Aramean in a dream by night and said to him, 'Beware of attempting anything with Jacob, good or bad.' Laban overtook Jacob. Jacob had pitched his tent on the height, and Laban with his kinsmen encamped in the hill country of Gilead. And Laban said to Jacob, 'What did you mean by keeping me in the dark and carrying off my daughters like captives of the sword? Why did you flee in secrecy and mislead and not tell me? I would have sent you off with festive music, with timbrel and lyre. You didn't even let me kiss my sons and daughters goodbye. It was a foolish thing for you to do. I have it in my power to do you harm. But the God of your father said to me last night, "Beware of attempting anything with Jacob, good or bad." Very well. You had to leave because you were longing for your father's house. But why did you steal my gods?' Jacob answered Laban, saying, 'I was afraid because I thought you would take your daughters from me by force. But anyone with whom you find your God shall not remain alive. In the presence of our kinsmen, point out what I have of yours and take it.' Jacob, of course, did not know that Rachel had stolen them. So Laban went into Jacob's tent and Leah's tent and the tents of the 2 maidservants, but he didn't find them. Leaving Leah's tent, he entered Rachel's tent. Rachel, meanwhile, had taken the idols and placed them in the camel cushion and sat on them. And Laban rummaged through the tent without finding them. For she said to her father, 'Let not my lord take it amiss that I cannot rise before you, for the period of women is upon me.' Thus he searched, but could not find the household idols. Now Jacob became incensed and took up his grievance with Laban. Jacob spoke up and said to Laban, What is my crime? What is my guilt that you should pursue me? You rummaged through all my things. What have you found of all your household objects? Set it here, before my kinsmen and yours. Let them decide between us two. These 20 years I've spent in your service, your ewes and she-goats never miscarried, nor did I feast on rams from your flock. That which was torn by beasts I never brought to you. I myself made good the loss. You exacted it of me, whether snatched by day or snatched by night. Often scorching heat ravaged me by day and frost by night, and sleep fled from my eyes. Of the 20 years that I spent in your household, I served you 14 years for your 2 daughters, 6 years for your flocks, and you changed my wages time and again. Had not the God of my father, God of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac been with me, you would have sent me away empty-handed. But God took notice of my plight and the toil of my hands, and he gave judgment last night. Then Laban spoke up and said to Jacob, the daughters are my daughters, the children are my children, the flocks are my flocks. All that you see is mine. Yet what can I do now about my daughters or the children they've borne? Come then, let us make a pact, you and I, that there may be a witness between you and me. Thereupon Jacob took a stone and set it up as a pillar. And Jacob said to his kinsmen, gather stones. So they took stones and made a mound, and they partook of a meal there by the mound. Laban named it Yegar Sahadutha, but Jacob named it Galed. And Laban declared, this mound is a witness between you and me this day. That is why it was named Galed. And it was called Mizpah, because he said, may the Lord watch between you and me, when we are out of sight of each other. If you ill-treat my daughters, take other wives besides my daughters, though no one else be about. Remember, God himself will be witness between you and me. Laban said to Jacob, here is the mound, and here the pillar which I have set up between you and me. This mound shall be witness, and this pillar shall be witness that I am not to cross to you past this mound, and that you are not to cross to me past this mound and this pillar with hostile intent. May the God of Abraham and the God of Nahor, their ancestral deities, judge between us. And Jacob swore by the fear of his father Isaac. Jacob then offered up his sacrifice on the height, and invited his kinsmen to partake of the meal. After the meal, they spent the night on the height.